we can do this thing. So, in case anyone needs one, we can do just one more cup real quick. Anyone need some coffee? So my day job, I own an insurance agency. So very different hats. So I'll move through this quickly, but I was like, how do I talk about an insurance agency? Everyone has insurance. Who we are, what we are. An independent insurance agency providing for customers' personal and business insurance needs in 7 different states. Why we are. So I just left that. When I was 22, I was working for a company here in Joplin called All Lamp Recycling. And All Lamp Recycling was 3 people, 2 in the Chicago area, 1 in this area, and it was recycling of universal waste. So universal waste is light bulbs, batteries, ballast, e-scrap, and at that point in time, everything was pushing towards LED retrofits and EPA regulations towards like the mercury in bulbs and the acid batteries and things like that. So when that was being cracked down on the coasts, it was okay. Well, how do we educate people in this area on what they should do with that stuff instead of taking the bulbs and breaking them on each other and watching them explode, and because you've seen that a million times. So I had the opportunity. I was working as a billing accountant for them. And I had the opportunity to purchase the business because he found out that his partner in Chicago was basically stealing money from the company, and he was going to close the doors. And I said, okay, well, instead of closing the doors, let's talk. So got rid of the partner, went through a little bit of a legal thing, and then essentially my friend and I purchased the business for the debt, which was $12,000 at that time, and $10,000 extra dollars. And we were like, this is a huge opportunity. We can build this thing. At that point in time, we had contracts with nursing homes across the country. We had a mail order program where you send out a box and they fill it with the scrap, and UPS or FedEx brings it back, and we process it and send them a certificate of compliance that qualifies for EPA regulations. So we signed on the dotted line May 2nd, the year of the tornado.
Oh, no.
So long and short of it, our building was not affected by the tornado. We were in a building right on the other side of 4th Street by the Empire Market, which the June after the tornado caught on fire and burned down. So you have the tornado. Luckily, our business was not directly affected, but a lot of our clients in town were. And then our business burnt down. At that point in time, there was a printing company, a gel casing company for vitamins and paintballs, our business, which had about 30,000 cardboard boxes, and a number of other businesses were in this one building. And so the fire started, and there's no way to put that out with everything mixed. And so the fire department showed up and managed it, and the whole building went down. I went to my insurance agent, and the insurance had been in the same place for 3 years. It was in the same place before before we purchased it, but we didn't look at how it was insured. And we were written a check for $17,000, and they said, have fun. So now we have $17,000 to restart business essentially from scratch. We had and again, we weren't in a ton of debt, luckily, but we were in enough to have 2 22-year-old kids and one who was looking at getting engaged, kind of worried. So we moved into my parents' house. They moved to Texas. We rented it from them, tried to operate it out of the garage, purchased some boxes, did everything we could, and eventually I filed bankruptcy on the business. And my business partner, basically I signed him out of it, and he went his own way, working at CSS, and I filed bankruptcy on the business and started over. So, all of that being said, I sold cars for a while, I sold packaging for a while, and then was actually pegged on LinkedIn to sell insurance. And I thought to myself, wow, that kind of makes sense, because I can hopefully prevent someone from being in the same situation I was in, where if I do my job correctly and I care about the person in the situation, then when the worst happens to them, they're not saying, how do I survive? So that's kind of how it all started. So the bottom line for us is we value your trust and the opportunity to educate you just as much as we value your business. More than an insurance agency. So When you think insurance, a lot of people, especially if you're not a business owner, think, okay, well, my roof is protected, my car is protected, my family might be protected if you have life insurance, and that's really as deep as it goes. But an insurance agency knows that no two businesses are exactly alike. It's our job to know what makes you different and to provide coverage accordingly. We will sit down with you and explain the why behind the coverages we recommend, because I would much rather have an insurance client that is educated than an insurance client who cares about their premium. And so I realize that as it's my job to care about both, but I'd much rather you say, I'm okay paying 5% more because I know what you're giving me, versus saying, I'm gonna pay 10% less and not be covered. So if that is your goal, to save 10%, then I'm not always your person, but I'm still willing to review it, look at it, and say, this is what we could do. Multi-tiered protection. Through our office and through strategic partnerships, we are able to provide whatever type of coverage you are looking for: personal, commercial, bonds, life, health, financial products. Why choose an independent agent? Flexibility. We have access to over 30 carriers that each have a specific area of expertise. The luxury of having choices provides many benefits to you as the insured that captive carriers cannot always provide. That is not to say that there's an issue with captive carriers. There are a lot of them. State Farm, Farmers, Allstate, like all good people. So I'm not knocking them. The market is not in control. Insurance premiums fluctuate regularly based on loss ratios and types of losses in different regions. While some increases are unavoidable, you should not have to pay more based on the status quo. So being an independent agent allows us to shop your insurance with multiple carriers, and sometimes carriers will take rate while others don't because they didn't have as bad of a loss ratio. So I can ask if you want to be flipped to this carrier for now, and then when their rates go up, I can shop you again. So it allows me to work for the client, not for the company, which is important. Problems we are trying to solve. Insurance is one of the oldest industries out there, and especially in, I'm going to call us rural because again, we're growing, but compared to major cities, most of the agents that currently sell commercial insurance are going to retire in the next like 10 years. I don't know the actual percentage, but I know it is out there and I should have brought it, so that's my bad. But essentially, we are brand new, and if you don't know me, then like you don't trust me. And if you don't trust me, you shouldn't buy insurance from me. Like that's should be a given. So again, that is something that we're trying to establish. That is something that we are working on, and I know, going back to kind of your comment, Doug, or I'm sorry, not your comment, that is definitely a time thing, especially in this industry. You need to show longevity, you need to show that you were here, you need to show what you're doing, and you need testimonials. So that is something we are working on, but still open to suggestions for how to do that any faster. And then another thing, especially with commercial clients, is buying into the process. A true insurance review and quote process can require a substantial time commitment from the prospect. So how do we better get the point across that it is worth it for you? So I have this. This is a premium timeline for someone in my shoes. So I kind of gave them all nicknames, but 90 days out, you have the icebreaker, you're collecting information, you're explaining the process of what I'm going to be doing for your business. 60 days out, you have paint the picture. So the more information you can give me, the better I can tell the carrier what you look like and why they should give you cheaper premium. So when I ask all those million questions about, I need this and this and this, and your blood type and your social security number, and you say, well, why do you need all that? It's because they're going to look at all of your records, they're going to look at credit history, they're going to look at all of that, and whether that's good or bad for you, the more information the carrier has, the more honest they can be about the premium, and the more I can work for you. 45 days out is a dive deeper. So carriers are always going to have extra questions, especially for business insurance. They're going to talk about, okay, well, show me all of the driver's list. Why is this driver under 25? I mean, they're going to ask questions that may not even make sense to you as the business owner, but for me, it's something that I'm able to then go back to them and explain and talk about. 30 days out, collected all necessary info, have landed on a carrier, solidified premium. Now it's time to negotiate. One thing that I always tell my clients, my insureds, is insurance is not a closed door conversation, it's an open door conversation. I am never going to try to sell you a 10-year-old Toyota Camry. I'm always going to try to sell you a brand new Lamborghini. And the reason for that is because I'd rather have you know about all of your coverage possibilities than say, why didn't you tell me about this later? So that's where you negotiate. It does not hurt my feelings if you don't want all of that coverage. So that's when you say, I like this, I don't like this, I like this, I don't like this, and then we can go and change coverages to match what you think your needs are. But then I've told you about it all. So we can land near your premium, and we can give you the coverage that fits your business and your comfort level. Because some people are okay taking more assumed risk. Some people would rather be insurance poor. And I hate to use that phrasing, but it's very true. Some people would rather have the entire earth covered even though they occupy like one pinpoint in it. So then it's time to negotiate, and then 14 days out, we are best friends now, and I have your permission to bind. It's happy hour. So that's a tie back to beer. So, and then I'll be like, cool, meet me at Chaos, let's have a beer. So, like I said, this is a premium situation. This is what I walk into 90% of the time. General assumption is that we can and will make this process happen in 2 weeks as long as we want your premium badly enough. So we want to get paid, but we also want to do our job so that you can get paid, which is, again, going back to my personal testimony when I got into this, it's a big deal. So that is, that's it.
Questions, comments?
No, we do not ferment in insurance.
So I deal with insurance agents every single day. We
Absolutely.
do 50 plus loans a month. They all have to have insurance. So a couple things I've seen, you said you don't have longevity, but you can piggyback upon referral partnerships. So, you know, we're the biggest mortgage producer in Joplin. We have very specific insurance agents that we refer that business to. We require a higher level of, it's a different relationship, and I wouldn't want to put that on most insurance agents because we are high demand. But when we make that referral, immediately whoever that person is automatically falling under the umbrella of who we are. So if you find the right referral partners there, you may not have the time to market, but if you find the right people that can send business to you, it doesn't matter. As long as you do a good job and you deliver, obviously those folks aren't going to refer to you if you don't. So that's one way to get in. Another thing that you should do, maybe you do, I don't know, focus more on your people. And so I do mortgage loans. It's a stuffy, professional thing. I wear hats and brewery shirts every single day. I do not care. People can judge me, I don't care. I want to do business with my people, and I do well. And so you own a brewery, that's really cool. Maybe find your clientele there. I would not be afraid to tell people that because you're going to attract your people. And so I intentionally got out of stuffy banking because I don't want to do business with people like that look for that because I don't enjoy it. So now I'm building a business that I get to deal with people that I like.
Yeah, I haven't worn these pants, so probably.
Yeah, but maybe that's how you're going. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't be afraid of that. Yeah, I mean, I would, an insurance guy that's a broker that owns a brewery, like, we should probably have lunch. I might be interested in referring my stuff to you. Like, that's interesting to me. So, but I definitely would not be afraid to embrace who you are. So.
Good comment. Anyone else?
Dale, you talked about that timeline that's there, and sometimes people have an expectation that, like you said, hey, they're going to come in and get everything done right away, and it's a commitment. How often do you have that conversation up front with them saying, hey, here is the 90-day timeline, here's the things that we can expect? Because, I know when I'm talking about, underwriting, for instance, I'm like, hey, here's what's going to happen, premium's going to go this, underwriting's going to take this is what's going to be expected, here's the things, and
so
the outcomes.
During a prospecting process, for me, obviously if it's someone that I know, the conversation is a little bit easier. But for cold calls and prospecting, I do try to explain that as soon as there is any sort of interest. The issue is, and facing this very specifically right now, there's a company here in Joplin that I've called on for probably 5 years straight, and they just got their renewal premium and went up more than they're comfortable with, and now they say, well, can you do something? And so it is more that situation where, since insurance is not something you see every day, hopefully you don't see it every day, since insurance is not something you see every day, it's not always on your mind, and then when you see that it's costing you more than you think it is, that's when you call me, and then sure, if I can make it work, I will, I absolutely will, because again, I want your business, but that means that if you give me a 2-week timeline, I basically need to come in and say, okay, you got 2 hours or an hour and a half, or can I have your policies and review them? But a lot of people aren't comfortable with that. And I understand, because giving your insurance policy to an agent is like giving like basically a dog a bone because it's like, oh, I can match this apples for apples. I barely even have to review it. Why do I have to do my job? I just have to beat this number. And so that's a general approach for a lot of situations. And so whether or not we take that approach is not necessarily, you know, your thought. You're thinking, I just got my renewal premium, now I need you to do this, what information you need from me? By the way, I'm out of town next week. So it's like, that's why we walk into that situation a lot. It's because you're not shopping your insurance every year, and once I have your insurance, I don't want you to.
Right.
But I do want you to trust that I'm gonna look at it every year, and I'm gonna review it, and if your premiums come back a little bit higher, I'm gonna say, hey, I looked here and here for you, and it's fairly similar in the market. Are you okay with this? Do we really need to drive it down? You know what I mean? So, but I can't establish that until it's in-house.
Right, and I think a lot of people do get worried about, oh, if you give that, you're trying to
Yeah.
get the number.
Yeah.
And like, you know, in the financial advisor side, that's an area like that I talk to people about all the time is if you have the right coverage for your situation.
Yeah.
And the reason I look at it is a couple of years back, I was in a head-on car accident, the guy across the center line hit me head on.
Okay.
Right? Now, he was covered by 2 other companies because it was fiance's car, so that's great, but if he wouldn't have been, he didn't have enough to cover medical expenses as far as that goes.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that you can go over personal assets
Absolutely.
and that side. And so a lot of times, like even in the business aspect, being able to explain, hey, the premiums you're paying is about value. Like, is that value worth you protecting the business from
Absolutely.
stuff happening? Because it's not if it happens, it's just when. Let me be able to review that, right? So that way I can go after that. So I ask those questions a lot of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just very transparent through that process.
Will you talk a bit about your marketing? Like you talked about with chaos, the marketing for what
Yeah,
you've been
so marketing has been difficult, and part of that is on me. Being that we are still a fairly new agency, we do not have the budget currently, or I should say this, because this is the spin on this, we have not carved out the budget for any sort of major marketing. So one thing that we're starting to do, we do have a Facebook page, but again, I don't know that Facebook is a good platform for, hey, let me share about insurance. Now I've done some things on Facebook and you can put it out there, but it's not always the best way to attract new people. So we have looked at asking for reviews on Google. We do ask for referrals because luckily with bouncing back and forth to chaos, the first couple months of doing the insurance agency and being independent, there was not a lot of time to go out and prospect. And so I've been very blessed that I've now been in commercial insurance for 7 years with different companies in the area, that at least I have enough people and enough trust that I can ask for referrals, and then that helps during that time. But one thing that we're looking at doing is partnering with local businesses. So one thing that is coming up, we're going to sponsor a dog for the Humane Society, because a ton of people follow the Humane Society, and if they see the 4-state brokers, they might say, what's 4-state brokers? So that's just a simple one. And then we're partnering with One Joplin and the community clinic, starting the 3rd week of October. If you show your vaccination card that you got vaccinated that week, you get a buy one, get one free beer at Chaos, and 4-state brokers is paying for all the free beers. So that's completely internal, but it's just another way, and then One Joplin and community clinic are going to have that all over the place. So just trying to have, key partnerships, and again, talking about referral sources, we have definitely pursued a number of those. It's about, and I realize a lot of it has to be organic growth, but I would be interested also for other marketing ideas that are tailored for insurance.
1 or 2 more, and then we want to let people get out.
I was just gonna say, you should do pints for policies. And so, for 30 minutes of my time and a free beer, I'll bring in my insurance policy, and you can comb through it and tell me what I need to know and why I should switch. I'm in.
I was gonna say that's a little dangerous.
I'm in.
That's a more, hey, that's a more like rebate.
Yeah.
$10 value or less is like.
Rebate and stuff.
Yeah, that's,
But
Oh, sorry.
I like it.
yeah, I love it.
So I was just looking at your website, just some suggestions. I would do some photo shoots, make it more personal to who you are, especially post-COVID. Everything's gone online, so people people are just getting scammed left and right now. We're seeing it, we're seeing it with business owners even.
Okay.
So, you know, what we tell our clients is the more personal you can make it, the better authenticity it is, and people are more willing to invest into your company because of that, so.
I would piggyback off of that. I would also say being involved in the community. It sounds like you're doing a great thing there with the Humane Society. We own an insurance agency, my wife and I, and we make a lot of social media posts. You know, I feel like insurance is a thing where there's not a lot of education. It sounds like you do a lot of commercial, which those folks, you know, they understand insurance usually business owners understand insurance.
Or they understand what they think they understand.
Yes,
So-
yes. So, but we find a lot of, you know, in personal insurance, it's a lot about education. You know, people don't know what they don't know, and so we get a lot of engagement that way, just by educating potential clients. So that's something I would recommend. And it sounds like you're on the right track, being involved in the community. I know that we just got involved with like Joplin Parks and Rec and put our agency name on all the little kids' soccer uniforms.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and that goes a long way. And we got approached by some people, you know, we just happened to be wearing American Family whenever we went to those events. So
Yeah,
we find that works for us.
okay, thank you.
Well, we're at 10 o'clock. Dale's been up here for an hour, so we want to be respectful of everyone's time. If any other comment, questions about either business, I'm sure he'll be happy to talk about line recruiters. Or, visit Chaos, have a beer, and he'll definitely chat with you then. Right? Thank you, Dale.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks for both present.